The
Oh,
honest,
let me find the word. Anybody can find that, what page it is.
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
it's just-
What page? I have the orders, just tell me.
it's
the page.
page 7 of 48.
Passports International Travel. So if it's the same language, then
Good afternoon, Judge. Can you hear us?
All right. Can you hear me, Mr. Hodges?
Yes, sir, I can. I can.
I can see. I can see the lips moving, but I can't hear anything.
She's, I don't know if it's, I can't tell from here. Is that X over the speaker?
Yes.
Okay, so you need to do that.
All right. Let's try it again.
Good afternoon, Judge. Can you hear us?
Now I can hear you.
Thank you, sir.
One
Thank you.
thing, and we'll sure be able to get the testimony and get that done. Now, all we have right now is an e-file will. So you're going to be able to get the original will sent up here.
Your Honor, we don't have, we'll get into that in the testimony. We don't have possession of the original will. We just have that copy. And that's one of the reasons we're seeking temporary letters is to gain access to the property where we believe that will is located.
Okay. All right. So who's going to testify?
Your Honor, I have my client, Julie Mazaraf, applicant today here with me.
Okay. Get you to raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. And I understand you're in the middle of a pretty lengthy trial at the moment, so we really appreciate the court working us in today.
Sure thing.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Mazaraf. Would you please state your full name for the court's record?
Julie Williams Mazaraf.
And is it okay if I call you Julie for these proceedings?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Julie, how long did you know the decedent, J. Mark Miller?
2 years.
And would you explain your relationship briefly for the court?
Yes, we had dated for two years.
Okay. And is it true that Mark died on September 7th, 2022 in Sealy, Austin County, Texas, at the age of 70 years?
Yes.
And is it also true that Mark was domiciled in and had a fixed place of residence there in Sealy, Austin County when he passed?
Yes.
Okay. And when he passed away, did Mark have 3 children?
Yes.
And those children's names are Sidney A. Miller, Bradley Wells Miller, and Jake Amond Miller.
Yes.
And is it also true that Mark was married twice during his lifetime?
Yes.
And was that first marriage to Nancy Calhoun Miller White from September 20th, 1975, ending in divorce on February 4th, 1982?
Yes.
And is it also true that he was married to Carla H. Miller on November 17th of 1987?
Yes.
Okay. And is it also true that although Mark and Kayla remained married at the time of their death, they had been separated since 2014 and living apart,
Yes.
and they just never formally effectuated that divorce?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
And as you heard me talk with the judge a little bit, is it true that Mark left a valid written last will and testament?
Yes.
And is it true that Mark sent you a copy of this will?
Yes.
And does that will name you as the independent executor of Mark's estate?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that Mark's son, Jake Miller, has moved into the home with his wife as of the same day that Mark passed away?
Yes.
And is it true that you are under the belief and that people have been going in and out of the home and possibly are removing estate property?
Yes.
Okay. And have you requested access to and been denied access to Mark's estate?
Yes.
Is there an immediate need to appoint a temporary administrator in order to secure and maintain estate property, including bank accounts, vehicles, and other personal property?
Yes.
Okay. Is it true that Mark owned, at the time Mark passed away, is it true that he owned commercial property with tenants who currently owe rent and to whom services are owed from Mark as the landlord?
Yes.
Okay. And is it true that you have not been able to gather any information from other parties involving any potential business interests that Mark was involved with?
Yes.
And it's true that you can't ensure his assets are not being dissipated in regards to any of those potential businesses?
Yes.
Okay. Is there also an immediate need to appoint an administrator to operate and maintain any business and properties related to the cattle?
Yes.
And is it true that, I mean, obviously it's true because I just asked you, but how many cattle, to the best of your knowledge, did Mark own?
He had 10 Longhorns.
And based on the current market value of pound out for those 10 head, is it true that we estimate those to pound out value at $2,000 per head, being a total of $20,000
Yes.
for bonding purposes? Okay. And is there an immediate need to appoint a temporary administrator to gain access to that property in order to make sure that those cattle are being fed as we enter winter?
Yes.
Okay. And for other assets that Mark owned, Julie, did Mark, we know Mark owned the ranch and the commercial property in Sealy. Are you aware of any other real estate that Mark owned at the time of his passing? Outside of those two properties? Okay. And for the property he does own, are you aware that anyone is collecting that rent that's owed?
No,
Okay. Is it true that you are aware Mark had a couple of bank accounts, but that you've been unable to get any information or ascertain any values of those accounts?
yes,
And as far as vehicles, how many vehicles did Mark own?
he owned one.
And what was that vehicle?
It was a Tahoe, black Tahoe.
Okay. And do we estimate the value of that Tahoe to be about $15,000?
Yes,
Okay. And then all other property that we're aware of, including personal effects of in the household, do we have an estimated value of $5,000 for those personal effects because we haven't been able to get in and access?
yes,
Okay. So the sum of those values, are we asking the court to assess bond at a value of $30,000 today that will later be increased and reported to the court on the filing of an inventory?
yes,
And Julie, we have discussed facts that would disqualify you from serving as temporary administrator of Mark's estate. Is it true that you are qualified to serve as such and that you are entitled to accept letters of temporary administration?
yes,
Okay. And finally, do you bring forth this application in good faith and for just cause?
yes,
Thank you, Julie. Your Honor, at this time, we request the court appoint Julie Williams Mazarap as temporary administrator to serve with a $30,000 bond, that the court order letters of temporary administration to issue to Julie upon her qualification in accordance with the law, and that we increase the bond upon the filing of inventory appraisement and list of claims of the estate when we have letters issued and authority to investigate those asset values.
And as I'm looking through the file, and I don't know if Ms. Lozano is sitting next to me, if she might know, there's a letter in here from an attorney in Belleville, John Anderson's office. What's his connection? And he's coming right in for another matter. Do you know what his involvement is?
I do not, Your Honor. I've not been provided with that that letter, but
Well, he had a totally different matter, so he just came in on that. And so I'm just going to ask
Sure.
him on a Zoom probate hearing on the estate of J. Mark Miller. And so Mr. Hodges is here, had filed for temporary administration. And then in the file, as I look through the file, there's a letter where you're wanting copies. And of course, if you just want a copy, that's fine. But are you coming in?
Yeah, we're coming into the case. We're coming into this case.
Okay, yeah, because Mr. Hodges and Mr. Ford had filed the application and it was set today at 1:30. So
Okay.
to a point, I'm sure I'd mess up her name for someone to be a temporary administrator,
Judge,
Julie Masaraf.
yeah, and we would ask for a continuance to be able to file we're going to be contesting this copy of the will. I had no notice that it was today.
And I tell you what, if we could just kind of hold for a minute and find I wonder if Mr. Hodges and Mr. Anderson could just talk on the phone for a minute and just to see where we're at. And again, now they filed for temporary administration, not a final, and not to admit this to probate at this time. But so Mr. Hodges, is the best phone number, the 713-260-3926?
yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. And I'm sorry, Your Honor, would you mind stating the other attorney's name?
It's John Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
So do you have that number?
No, if I can borrow the file, I'll just call from there.
you can just let him, I mean, have Mr. Anderson call, and it's Mr. Hodges.
Okay.
And he said that he's put on the testimony to appoint Ms. Masraff as temporary administrators.
Your Honor, the order we filed did include language that should this become contested, that the temporary would be converted to a temporary administration pending contest. So we can modify that as needed.
And now when I'm looking through here, I'm see the application. I'm looking for the order now, so.
That was filed today and a courtesy copy was emailed over with an envelope number, Judge. I'm not sure. I understand the court's in trial, so I definitely understand and appreciate.
Well, and I'll call down to the clerk's office and see if that was e-filed. If they have that, because I don't see it in the file. So, all right, so we're not. So the hearing is still ongoing until the two of you talk, but so if you could call Mr. Hodges. So Mr. Anderson's going to call you right now.
Okay, and Judge, would you like us to wait on hold in the hearing in this Zoom room?
Yeah, just stay right there. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay,
And I just may mute the whole thing here. So
okay. Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it.
He's with Mr. Ford's office.
yes,
If Mr.
Step back there.
sure.
Can I borrow the file?
Yeah, just take that to get the number.
Judge, if Mr. Anderson wants to give a cell phone number for me to call, I can call him directly right now.
All right. Mr. Hodges there. Okay. You're unmuted. Okay, so you're back, and
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Anderson just came back in, so I'm assuming the two of you talked a little
Yeah.
bit.
Judge, the citation was just posted on the 18th. So we believe there hasn't been even adequate notice of this before there's been a hearing. So we would object to even conducting the hearing.
I don't know. Mr. Hodges, I'm gonna just hold the citation up here. It has,
Is that the return or the date it was posted, Judge?
right down here. It looks like October 31st is the time where we could hear something.
Okay, Judge, again, I am covering.
I can't hear what you're saying.
I'm covering this hearing, but I understand if that was not posted, I apologize. That was not.
Well, I went on this thing and clicked the X.
And you may need to plug in real quick. I just noticed your power's going down.
Where do we do that?
Turn it up.
Should be on that side. Here, give it to me, Judge. I'll plug it in over here.
Yeah.
Plugged.
Yes, but now, I mean, it has that X
I think it is.
by the deal, but you can't get. When I go down here, that's where it said speakers muted.
Then you have to click on it. I don't know. Did you?
There,
Okay.
okay. Now I'll see. Now, can you hear me, Mr. Hodges?
Yes, Your Honor, I can.
Okay, what I was trying to show you, I'm looking in the file and it has the return date is October 31st.
Okay, Your Honor, I don't believe you could hear me when I was saying this earlier. I am covering this hearing for Mr. Ford, and I'm trying to pull our file as well to make sure that I'm not confused on anything. But if that's the return, if that's the actual posting date and the return date. Okay, that wasn't posted then when it was, okay. I know this was filed, okay.
Trying to see when it was filed.
I'm trying to figure out the source of this.
Looks like the application was filed on the 14th. I have to get my calendar out to calculate the days, but let's see here. So it looks like the return must have been posted on the 18th. Yeah, we had a county holiday in there. I think that's
Okay,
probably what missed a day. It was the county has a fair holiday, and so that I think pushed everything back. But yeah, it looks like I don't know, can you pull this up to see the?
I'm trying to pull it, Your Honor, but I'm not having any luck on my end. So if that's what you've got, I trust the court to show me what they've got. If that's the date, that's the date. I don't see anything. I don't see anything in the file indicating otherwise.
Yeah, if it was posted on the 18th, and I'm looking at my calendar now, so yeah, it looks like the 31st would be the day we could hear something, so.
Okay. Well, then, it sounds like we're going to have a contest to the appointment of a temporary administrator regardless for Mr. Anderson. So I will I will coordinate with his office on any filings or objections that he wants to levy, and we'll get a hearing set and see what we can get done.
All right, so I'll just keep this, your proposed, and the clerk brought in your proposed order.
Okay,
So I have that now, but I'll just keep that in the file, and then y'all can contact the coordinator is Maria, and contact Maria and look for another date.
okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Jeff. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You see now the place where I can exit out is covered up by something. I can't seem to.
Okay, Robert.
Judge, may I be dismissed?
You may.
All right. Well,
Oops,
y'all have
I'm not
fun
even
tomorrow getting back into the swing of things on
Yeah.
trial.
Yeah, there it is.